Hello friends, welcome back to IASBABA. This is the geography section of 2025 prelims exam. I hope your exam went well, and here is the detailed explanation of geography questions. Starting with the question number 42. This was a very simple, very easy question, mapping based question it was. The question was, consider the following countries: Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Venezuela. Now the question was, Andes mountain passes through how many of the above countries? So Andes mountain, it's a very important fold mountain, and as you know, you would be studying this. You would have studied this in the continental drift theory, and a very good example of convergent plate boundary. So here it passes through, as you can see, it passes through Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. So there is no Brazil, there is no Paraguay, and there is no Uruguay. So you can very easily eliminate this. So Bolivia is there, no Brazil, then Colombia, Ecuador, then no Paraguay, Venezuela. So 4 is the answer. Only 4 is the very correct answer. Moving on to question number 43 now. This was also geography based, mapping based question. Easy question again. Consider the following water bodies. Okay, since climate change is a very repetitive topic, so it is highly expected that question related to water bodies would come, and it is coming every year. Okay, so here the question is mapping based, but here the difficulty was with respect to through how many of them does the equator pass. Okay, now with respect to lake Tanganyika, very important lake of that of the Africa. So within this Africa, it passes through a few countries like Tanzania. Okay, then you say Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Then it also passes through Burundi, okay, and Zambia. So it passes basically shared by 4 countries. But when I talk about this latitude, so it range between 3 to 8 degrees south latitude. So basically the equator 0 degree latitude does not pass through this. So first one is wrong. Second one, Lake Tongle Sap. So this is basically in Cambodia, and it is relatively far away. Okay, as you know, as you can see in this map. So this Lake Tanganyika is somewhere over here. Okay, and this lake Cambodia, sorry, this was Lake Cambodia is Lake Tongle Sap. Tongle Sap is in Cambodia, it is here, okay, which is very far away from this equator. And you can see this Lake Patos Lagoon, which is there in the Uruguay. So again, it is very far off. So none of these we can say are the countries through or the lakes through which the equator is passing. So D is the answer over here, none. Moving ahead with the next question number 45. Which one of the following are the evidence? Now this is very simple question. If you remember, this question on continental drift theory was asked in 2013 mains. Okay, and after that now it is being asked in 2025 prelims. A very simple theory it is, and the question is with respect to the evidence of the phenomena of the continental drift. So statement 1, the belt of the ancient rocks from the Brazil coast matches with those of the Western Africa. This is absolutely true evidence. Second is the gold deposit of Ghana are derived from the Brazil plateau when two continents lay side by side. This is also true. And the Gondwana system of the sediments from India is known to have its counterpart in 6 different land masses of the southern hemisphere. This is true as well. You can see this is taken directly from the NCRT. You can see here in this page number 28, you can see this tillet. So tillet is a sedimentary rock formed out of the deposits of glaciers, and here it says the Gondwana system of sediments from India is known to have its counterparts in 6 different landmass of the southern hemisphere. So you can see the statement is repeated as it is. Okay, this statement is directly taken from NCRT, 11th standard NCRT, fundamentals of physical geography. Next, you can also see this statement. It says the occurrence of the rich placer deposits of the gold in the Ghana coast and the absolute absence of the source rock in this region is an amazing fact. And the gold bearing veins in the Brazil, and it's obvious that the gold deposit of the Ghana are derived from Brazil plateau. So this is also the statement, that is the second statement directly from the NCRT, we can say 11th standard NCRT. Okay. So basically this is a very simple question, I would say. Okay. And the lastly, you can also see the statement number 1 out here. Here you can see the evidence support in support of the continental drift theory. So here, with respect to that of uh, this statement, the belt of the ancient rocks of 2000 million years from the Brazil could match with those in the Western Africa. So this statement, and you can see statement number 1, the belt of the ancient rock from Brazil coast matches with those of the Western Africa, again NCRT. So the statement is as it is copied, okay, and pasted. So here C is the answer, not D. Okay, simple question it was. Next, proceeding ahead with question number 46. Now this is also derived directly from the NCRT. You can see the statement. Consider the following statement. Statement number 1, it says the amount of dust particles in the atmosphere is more in the subtropical and the temperate areas than in the equatorial and polar region. Is it true? Yes, absolutely it is true. And you can see this from this statement. The you can see the higher concentration of the dust particle is found in the subtropical and temperate region. Okay, so this statement is true. The statement 1 is also true here. Statement 2 says subtropical and temperate areas have less dry winds, whereas here you can see this one, due to the dry winds in comparison of the equatorial and the polar region. So if I read this statement again, so the higher concentration of the dust particle is found in the subtropical and the temperate regions due to the presence of dry winds in comparison to the equatorial and polar region. And here what does this statement says, that subtropical and temperate region have less dry wind. This is a false statement. Okay, so only statement 1 is correct, I would say. So C is the answer. Statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is not correct. Very simple NCRT based question. The next question, question number 47, is also directly being taken from the NCRT, and this is a repeated question. Okay, it is a repeated question. The similar question was asked in 2023. So let us read the statement. Statement 1 says, in January, in the northern hemisphere, the isotherms bend equatorwards while crossing the landmass and the poleward while crossing the ocean. So you can see this in this statement here, NCRT. This is 11th standard NCRT, page number 71. Here in terms of this paragraph, you can see in January, the isotherm deviates to the north over the ocean, okay, and towards the south in the over the continent. And if I am reading this statement, what does it says? In January in northern hemisphere, okay, so the isotherms bends equatorwards while crossing the landmass, okay, while crossing the landmass, and towards the pole means towards the north, right, and equatorwards, I would say, towards the south, right. Okay, so isotherm bend towards the south while crossing the landmass, and it bends northwards while crossing the ocean. This is what it is given over here. The isotherms deviate towards the north over the ocean, okay, and towards the south over the continent. So this statement is correct. In that context, this statement is also correct. If I see statement number 2, in January, the air over the oceans is warmer than that over the landmass in the northern hemisphere. So see, basically there are several factors responsible for the temperature distribution of the world, and one of the very important factor is specific heat. Okay, specific heat. So specific heat is the amount of heat required to increase the temperature of a unit gram object by 1 degree Celsius. So here in the case of winter, in the case of if it is winter during January, okay, so what happens is the land is relatively more colder, okay, and the ocean water body is relatively warmer, okay. So if I read statement number 2, in January air over the oceans are warmer, yes, than that over the landmass in the northern hemisphere, because January में northern hemisphere में it is winter, winter में land the air above the land is colder and the air above the ocean is warmer. So this is also the correct statement, and this could be one of the major reason for the deviation of the isotherm. Okay, so though it is not a wrong statement, you may get fluctuating answer with respect to A and B, but here if we go by the concept, A should be the answer. Proceeding ahead with the next question. Here you can see this graph is given in the NCERT also. So this is the month of that of the January, and this isotherm map you can see over the ocean where it is bending, the isotherm is more towards the north, and toward the continent you can see it is mainly bending towards the south, okay, or towards the equator words we can say. Question of 48. Now this is not something that can be directly solved from the NCERT. Yes, in the older NCERT, the concept related to the rocks were given, permeability, porosity is given. Here the statement says, statement 1, in the context of effects of water on the rocks, chalk is known as a very permeable rock, whereas clay is known as quite an impermeable or least permeable rock. Okay, so with respect to that of the comparison between that of the chalk and the clay is given. So both are what? Both are basically, first of all, sedimentary rocks. Okay, sedimentary rocks, and sedimentary rock have relatively higher porosity, permeability as compared to that of other rocks, especially the impermeable rocks like the metamorphic rock. Okay, so here the statement is correct. If I am talking about the relativity, then the chalk is known to be more permeable, whereas clay is relatively less permeable. That is the reason why in the clay soil it becomes a little difficult for the farming or the tilling. Statement 2 says chalk is porous and hence can absorb water. This is true. Second statement says, third statement, clay is not at all porous. So this is an extreme statement, so this is false. So statement 3 I have to eliminate out of the given question. So if you see option number A, both statement 2 and 3 are correct. Statement 3 is not correct, so this is gone. B says both statement 2 and 3 are correct. No, it is not. Statement 3 is not correct. If I say D, neither statement 2 nor statement 3 is correct. No, here statement 2 is correct. Okay, C is the answer. Only one of the statement 2 and 3 is correct, and that explains statement 1. Simple enough. Okay, so through elimination and through logic this could have been solved. So C was the answer. Okay, question number 49 now. Consider the following statement. Without the atmosphere, temperature, now this is again from the NCERT, without the atmosphere the temperature would be well below freezing point everywhere on the earth's surface. Okay, now some of you would apply this extra mind that of course the temperature would be below, and because atmosphere have the greenhouse gases and they are responsible for the greenhouse effect, and that keeps the atmosphere of the earth warm enough. And here it says it keeps, if it is absent, what would happen is the temperature of the earth will be below the freezing point everywhere on the earth's surface. Yes, that will be true. Okay, even on the equatorial region mainly, the incoming solar radiation does not cause atmospheric heating, it is the outgoing radiations, since there is no greenhouse gas to trap the radiations. Okay, so it will be relatively very less below the freezing point. Second statement, heat absorbed and trapped by the atmosphere maintains our planet's average temperature. This is true. Okay, and third statement, atmosphere's gases like carbon dioxide are particularly good at absorbing and trapping the radiation. Yes, it is a greenhouse gas, and you can see it from this statement. This is NCERT 7 chapter 11 standard NCERT again. So gases, especially carbon dioxide, okay, what does it says? It absorbs part of the terrestrial radiation and reflects back some part of it towards the earth's surface, and this is largely responsible for greenhouse effect, and this is the main factor responsible for the atmospheric heating. So here, since all the statement is correct, C is the answer. Moving ahead to the next question. So you can see, students, there are quite a number of questions that is directly from the NCERT, and the statement is so very close that you can directly do it by referring the 11th standard NCERT alone. Question number 74 is current affair based. Okay, current affair, you can say climate change based questions. So here the question says the World Bank warned that India could become one of the first places where wet bulb temperature routinely exceeds 35 degrees Celsius. Which on the following statement best reflects the implication of the above said report? Now, this was not something which was there in the news in the recent past. So basically, this is relatively an older question, and you can see the effect of this is mentioned by the World Bank. So it is basically talking in the context of the global warming. What does it says? That if the temperature increases, then it can cause severe heat waves, heavy flooding, and drought also, and this will impact overall the food and the energy security. Okay, a report released by the World Bank here mentions that wet bulb ambient temperature, that is 35 degrees Celsius, if it is exceeds, okay, then what would happen? There would be serious ill health and the death, and not only with respect to that of the human beings but other living organisms as well. So now we can refer to this question number 74, wherein we can say uh, the peninsular India will most likely suffer from flooding, tropical cyclones, and drought. Yes. Okay. See, the logic is very simple. If it is something related to that of the climate change, all the types of the climate will get affected. Be it flooding, it will increase. Be it drought, frequency of drought will increase. Be it cyclone, frequency of cyclone will increase. Okay, so logic based, you can deduce this, and you may have studied a lot of implications or the impact of that of the climate change. So the climate change impact is very general. Okay, everything will be impacted. Second statement, the survival of animals including human beings will be affected as shedding of their body heat through the perspiration becomes difficult. Okay, so yes, they will be also be affected. Now there are certain statement which is elaborated in order to confuse you all, but you do not need to get confused. C would be the correct answer, both. Okay, with respect to question number 96, now consider the following countries. Now this is where a lot of ambiguity can come. Here it says how many of the above countries have more than 4 time zones. More than 4 time zones. See, if we go by the mainland, okay, if we go by the mainland of those countries, okay, the answer is only it could be not even one, basically. Okay, uh, because Brazil have 4 time zone, mainland. Mainland Australia have 3 time zone. Mainland New Zealand have 2 time zone. Denmark have 1 time zone, and mainland United Kingdom also have 1 time zone. And here the question is how many of the above countries have more than 4 time zones? Not even four, more than four. So as per the given question, none should be the answer, but that is not the case. So here it means it is talking about mainland plus the external territories. Okay, it is talking about external territories, let us say island or the occupied regions of there, that would also be part of the territory only. Yes or no? So if we include those external one, then the United Kingdom will have 9 time zone. Denmark would have 6 time zone because they were colonizers. They colonized different parts of the world, so they would be having certainly the the territories in the different time zones also. New Zealand would have 5 time zones. Australia would have 9 time zones, and Brazil will have 4 time zone only because Brazil was never a colonizer. Okay, it do not have any external extended territories also. So here 1, 2, 3, 4 should be the correct one. Okay, only 4 is the correct answer here. Okay, 97th one is again an easy question. Question 97 says consider the following statement. Now this was there in the news also, and it's very simple. Even if you do not know this place, another, but at least you know Siberia is in the eastern part of that of the Russia, right? And Nome, even if you do not know Nome, but at least you know Alaska, so it is the westernmost part of that of the North America, USA, are few kilometers away from each other, but when people are waking up and getting set for the breakfast in these cities, it would be different days. So basically, you know the concept of the longitude, and a very important longitude is 180-degree east west longitude, which is also known as international date line. And as you can see, this dotted one is basically this international date line. And here you can see the Siberia part, and here you can see the Alaska part. Okay, so here you can see Anaidar, and here you can see the Nome. You can see these two places. So basically they are lying in different different hemisphere, in terms of this is in the east hemisphere and this is in the west hemisphere. Okay, east hemisphere and the west hemisphere. So certainly there will be different dates. Okay, there will be different dates. Okay, so this is correct. Yes, they will be having different dates, means they will be having different day. Okay, second statement, when it is Monday on another, it is Tuesday in Nome. So it is says when it is Monday here, okay, it is Tuesday here. So this is wrong, because if it is Monday here, so east hemisphere have they lead in terms of the time zone, because as you know the earth rotate from the west to east. So the eastern hemisphere will have first time, and then later the west hemisphere will have the time. So basically if it is Monday, okay, so the west hemisphere will be lagging. Okay, it will still be Sunday. Okay, the west hemisphere is behind, and the east hemisphere is ahead. So it should not be Tuesday, it should be before, it should be Monday. So sorry, it should be Sunday. Second statement is incorrect. A is the answer. This is very concept based question, so there is no need of breaking your head with respect to those cities and all. Very simple question. Question number 99. So here we are understanding the question related to we saw one question was with respect to that of this equator. Equator is what? 0-degree latitude, yes or no? And we just saw question related to 180-degree east or west longitude, which is nothing but the international date line, which is nothing but longitude, right? So basically we saw here there are questions being asked on the latitude and longitude. So never underestimate the concept based question. Concept based questions are evergreen, they will be asked every time. Okay, question number 99 now. Consider the following pair: countries and the resource rich in. So this is something which was there in the news also. Okay, because of the electric vehicles and all, it is there in the news. So Botswana is the having the largest amount of the diamond in the world. This is true. Then Chile is very well known for the lithium. So this lithium triangle of the world. Lithium triangle of the world is ABC. What is this ABC? It is Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. So no doubt Chile is a leading producer of lithium, and Indonesia is a very large producer of nickel, and in fact the world's largest quantity of the nickel is found in this Indonesia. So this is correct. All the three is correct answer over here. Okay. Now these are oftenly there in the news because of the resources that they have. Okay. The last question with respect to consider the following pairs, regions, and the country. Now this is again there in the news. It is again a current affair based question. So Mallorca is basically part on that on Spain. Okay, so you can see over here Spain. Okay, and you can see this Balearic Islands. Balearic Islands you can see Mallorca. Okay, so it is a part of the Spain. Okay, so this is incorrectly matched. Normandy is a part of France. So here it is not mentioned, but somewhere in the north of the France, Normandy is present. So this is also incorrect. And Sardinia, very very important this island for Italy. Okay, this is also incorrectly matched. So you can see over here Sardinia belongs to Italy. Now, why this question was asked? Because Normandy was there in the news. What was there in the news? It was there in the news because of this 80th year of celebration of Normandy landing. Okay, Normandy landing. Basically, they consider this as a D-Day. Here on this day, in this month of the June 2024, the 80th year of this Normandy landing. Basically, it is with respect to that of the liberation of France. Okay, liberation of the France during this World War II. Okay, that had happened, and it was recently celebrated as the 80th year. Okay, so it was there in the news basically. Okay, so out here we understood that it was a very simple, and of course these places, Mallorca, okay, which is there in the Spain, and Sardinia in Italy. Anyways, even if you know these two, you can very easily attempt this question. So overall, my feedback with respect to the geography would be that it was mainly conceptual question directly from 11th standard NCRT. Of course, some questions were current affair based, and those were mainly mapping based. One or two questions were a little on the tough side with respect to the lake and the mapping with respect to the equator. Rest, almost all the questions were very much doable. So I hope you had done well in your exam. Let us focus on the mains aspect. Thank you, student.